Greetings gamers, I'm Shootkapow, and for a long time, Clefable has been an interesting Pokemon to me. Starting off as a worse Chansey back in Generation 1, it's gotten a few buffs over the years, but Clefable is a prime example of how just a few tweaks can skyrocket a Pokemon in viability. Today we'll be taking a look at these competitive formats and see just how great Clefable became despite its slow start. Hey, it took 5 generations too, Regigigas would be proud. Starting off with Generation 1, Clefable was, unfortunately, shafted from the very start in RBY. While Pure Normal is a great typing, many other OU Pokemon are able to make much better use of it, most notably Chansey. While Clefable was more physically bulky, that was literally all it had over Chansey. The former was a special tank that could hit hard thanks to Gen 1's special stat, and thus walled huge portions of the metagame, such as the A-tier Psychics. In UU, it didn't fare much better, being unable to use Sing due to the Sleep Man and being susceptible to Wrap, Dragonite, and Tentacruel, both of whom outspeed it. And so, it fell to NU, where it actually ended up being a pretty good mon. It's solid all around with offense, defense, and support, and can be a great enabler via paralysis with Body Slam and T-Wave, lives along with its great bulk, and has the classic Bolt Beam coverage along with possibly spawning on Hyper Beam. In fact, Clefable is so hard to switch into that the answer to one is often your own Clefable, leading to both of them being whittled down with one fainting and the other being too low to take a hit. If you manage to take down your opponent's Clef though, there's a good chance that yours will be the piece to win you the game. Overall, while it fell to NU, Clefable was a surprisingly decent mon for its placement. Generation 2 brought some fun new toys for Clefable to play with though, pushing it up to UU, where it eventually got banned. Maybe it'll be good in OU? Well, in Gen 2, Clefable got Belly Drum, one of the most dynamic setup moves in the game. It now had the ability to max out its attack in exchange for half its health, and on a one with that bulk that also got Moonlight in the generational shift, that was pretty good. Oh, and it got a 102 base power stab move in return. On this set, it could also choose between Fire Blast to hit Steelix and Skarmory hard, removing its checks, Shadow Ball to spam Gengar, Charm to support its middling physical bulk, and Encore to set up really on Curse users. It could also just run various mixed sets, keeping the threat of Drum Clef ever present to keep your opponent on their toes. Unfortunately, Clefable was limited by its typing and a low attack of 70. While its move pool was not shallow by any means, it often didn't run the attacks it had Ghosts, who could then chip it down. The tier's premier phaser Suicune could also live a hit at +6 to roar it out, resetting all of its progress. While it's a mon that can take advantage of the meta well enough, it doesn't quite have the tools to let it climb out of the limbo of UUBL. Clefable is a mon that has options. At its core, its main strength lies in surprising the opponent with an unexpected move, catching your opponent off guard and being unpredictable. Clefable in Advance famously has no hard counters, but that all changes when its moves are revealed. Suddenly, your opponent is able to play around your sub-punch set, or switch around on Thunder Wave and Toxic, and wear Clefable down with the tier's myriad of physical attackers, or even trap and remove with Dugtrio. OU is far too much for Clef, but it found a much more fitting home down in UU, where it basically just did the same thing, but a little easier. Its Belly Drum set was still a terror to many, now with Meteor Mash because Clefable gets to learn everything. You could also set up with Calm Mind and fire off Bolt Beams all day, stall with Cosmic Power, or even run Counter or Choice Band. The options were overwhelming, but not for long, as once Clef used a move or two, it was much more predictable. However, that can't diminish the terror and uncertainty you feel upon seeing Clefable switch in, knowing that at any moment your team could be dropping like flies to Drum, or facing an unkillable Cosmic Powerball, or even just be cleaned by Calm Mind or Choice Band. Overall, Clefable had its place in the advanced UU metagame, doing what it had always done best. Pretty much everything. In False Light Gaming's How Good Was Clefable Actually video from 2018, which I've obviously taken some inspiration from, Clefable was described as a protagonist or an avatar, being able to go any way it wants in terms of set, customizable to a fault. Well, now it's been given the RPG main character's signature busted attribute, that being the ability Magic Guard. Now, despite still being ranked in UU, its immunity to the residual damage of Stealth Rocks, Sand, and Toxic has given it viability all the way up in Ubers, where its B- rank is the envy of any other UU Pokemon. In OU, it can still run the set variety it always has, but now with a valuable immunity to the chip damage other Pokemon have to deal with. Blissey is still bulkier, but Clefable's longevity in the face of Tyranitar or Stall is valuable as well. However, it has weaknesses in OU that were enough to push it to UU, where it thrived. Just like in Advance, it did everything it did in standard play, but better due to the lower power level. His moveset is still incredible, adding general support with Wish, Stealth Rocks, Heal Bell, and more offensive options due to the physical special split. There's not much to say that hasn't already been said, just that Clefable will continue to be a great lower tier threat in Gen 4 UU. Okay, so I'm kinda running out of things to say here. In Gen 5, Clef found itself in pretty much the same position, but in RU this time. Sigilyph, the bastard, and Reuniclus have dethroned it in terms of Magic Guard, with more shallow move pools, better stats and typings. Thus, Clef was pushed to RU, where it could once again use its talents well. In fact, maybe it was better to stay away from the hectic metagame that is Gen 5 OU. Clefable was feeling down. Every generation since Gen 2 had been a downward spiral. It was close to falling back to its lowest point NU, with no salvation in sight. Unaware was a good addition for it, but with Power Creep outclassing it in terms of stats. Psychic types outclassing it with Magic Guard, and its move pool looking worse and worse as it sunk deeper into a jack-of-all-trades master of none role, things were starting to look pretty Clef over. And then Gen 6 rolled around, introducing the new fairy type, and Clefable was first in line to get it. Suddenly, its lackluster pure normal typing was traded out for an incredible mono fairy, giving it a myriad of valuable resistances, such as to the fighting type it struggled against, and to U-turn, meaning it took even less chip damage on top of magic guard blocking residual damage. Unaware was not only a near insurmountable wall, but also a terrifying setup sweeper with Calm Mind and its trademark incredible coverage. However, this set could also be run with Magic Guard to destroy stall teams. It was also great as utility, with Toxic, Thunderwave, Stealth Rock, Swish, Heal Bell, and even Knockoff to mess with opposing teams. Its myriad of options is truly unparalleled, making it perhaps the most unpredictable and most valuable Pokemon in Generation 6 OU. Gen 7 rolled around, and Clefable kept on barreling through, though its defensive set was more prevalent than its Calm Mind set this time around. Life Orb with 3 attacks was good. Unaware is actually on the viability ranking, though it was often foregone in favor of the superior Magic Guard, which Clefable ran more than its Psychic-type rivals now due to its superior typing. It loved the introduction of Toxapex, being able to take Toxic for its teammates, though its offense on Life Orbless sets was admittedly lacking. However, Clefable remained an OU staple, and it's safe to say that it had truly gone from Master of Zero to a true jack-of-all-trades, excelling in any role it was given. With Generation 8, the heavy-duty boots were introduced, allowing Clefable to bluff Magic Guard on Unaware sets, warding off both Toxic and setup sweepers alike, and spawning one of the most iconic competitive Pokemon memes of all time. Apart from that, Clefable just kept doing what it had done for the past 2 generations, surprising opponents expecting one set when it pulled out another. It seemed like, now that Clef was up in OU, there was nothing that could get it to leave. Well, despite one of Gen 9 OU's premier sweepers having super effective stab on Clefable, it has still managed to be the solid, diverse Pokemon it's always been, though maybe a little power crept. After being released recently with the Teal Mask DLC, it's been making waves in OU just like always. I've personally been running a stabless Magic Guard Calm Mind set with Bolt Beam and Flamethrower, and it's surprisingly diverse, taking many hits and beating a lot of the meta. Unaware is great for setup sweepers, like the aforementioned King Gambit. But shoot, what about the Steel-type stab? Well, that's no problem with the shiny new Terrestrialization, which the pure Fairy-type Clefable absolutely loves to use to change into a Water-type, switching from one great defensive typing to another to get the jump on its bad matchups and turn them on their heads. Clefable has admittedly lost Belly Drum, Toxic, and Heal Bell, but there's no telling what the Indigo Disc might bring, and, Belly Drum was kinda falling off anyway. Even then, those moves are barely a dent with Clefable's galaxy of options. Though it can struggle to fit on teams a little more now, there's still no doubt that it remains a solid Pokemon, if not a supreme one, in Gen 9 OU. We're not done yet, though. Since Gen 6, Clefable and its pre-evolution Clefairy have both seen amazing use in VGC because of their access to Follow Me and Helping Hand, the best support moves in the game, using their deep move pools and great typing to the fullest. Clefairy has the unique ability of being able to use Eviolite while having the rare ability Friend Guard, reducing the damage its partners take. I'll just put their world placements on here since there are simply too many results to show with these two. And finally, we have one more meta to talk about. I'll just give you guys a quick introduction to the OM Contrarian mods. Essentially, Pokemon are limited to only using their lower base attacking stat, meaning that Clefable is limited to physical moves. You can find out more about the meta in the Discord server linked below that isn't mine, but in terms of Clefable, it seems to have finally fallen to being a more niche mod. Its offense is lacking, though 70 attack isn't very low for the Contrarian mod's meta, and it's a good utility mod that can use Magic Guard to great effect. Losing Belly Drum was perhaps its least favorite thing of all here, preventing it from being a setup sweeper, but it still sees solid usage in the meta with whatever the opposite of Power Grip is. So, there we have it. Clefable's journey through the lower tiers, questing to find its true potential, and finally finding it in Gen 6. Since gaining its legendary fairy typing, it's remained a consistently great mon throughout the newer generations, and its incredible move pool is the envy of many. A Gen 1 normal's moves without having to be a normal type is what allowed Clefable to rise above the big three of the olden days, who watched from the sidelines of NU, where by the way Snorlax has joined them, as it was once again denied slack off in the Teal Mask. Oh, also, this was written before the drops. Tauros is now dropped to PUBL, while Blissey rose to OU to check Ursaluna Blood Moon, and will soon be falling. This video was a fun look at one of the best OU Pokemon ever, and a fun look back through the generations at one of the greatest success stories in Pokemon. There have been many gifted kids throughout the years, like the aforementioned Big Three, Exeggutor, Alakazam, and Tyranitar, all of whom Power Creep has hit hard, tanking their grades and making them wonder what happened. But Clefable experienced the opposite, rising from a struggle in elementary to being the valedictorian of many iterations of OU, and it doesn't look like our Fae friend's run is stopping anytime soon. As always, if you liked this video, go ahead and let me know by dropping a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Competitive Pokemon is one of my greatest passions, and history is a fun pastime, and combining the two makes for some fun videos. Comment down below some Pokemon you'd like to see me look at, and share this video to spread the word of our great Lord Clefable. Join my Discord as well, and follow me on Twitter to know exactly when a video drops. Feel free to support me on Patreon to have your name read out here, just like my current patron Zanku, and buy me a coffee if you want, both down in the description. With that though, that's all I've got, so this is Shootkapow, over and out.